Welcome back to Stop the Movie. I Want to Get Out. This is a podcast about some of the most notoriously horrible movies Hollywood has ever churned out. And we're talking about how things clearly went so hilariously wrong. I'm Alex Dunbar. As always, I'm joined by Brian Mueller, Jack Estabrook, Andy Wolf, Cody Wolf. How's everyone doing?
Perfect.
Good.
Brian Mueller back from assignment.
And boy, did I find a great movie while I was on assignment. Touring the country for the worst of the movies.
I almost want to keep it a secret. I want people to envision that Brian was in Borneo watching bad romantic comedies or something, out scouting the worst the world has to offer.
Well, it's funny. I was engaged a few years ago, and my fiancée just left me, and she invited me to Summers Isle, which is where I was on assignment.
Oh, okay.
Which is a good lead-in. So I think
that is this.
Must have been a good year for the crop.
It was. I have some honey out back.
Brian, I didn't even know you had a plot.
It's a pretty bad one, but it's a plot.
And that is our segue. This week's movie, the Nicolas Cage remake of The Wicker Man. This movie is a disaster from the word
I think
go.
I actually, in this one, yelled, "Stop the movie, I want to get out." I think I did.
At what?
We'll get into
what point?
It's really
I stopped the movie and went to sleep.
Yeah,
I slept. I
fell
fell asleep during the movie.
Let's have Jack is going to provide us with a summary of the movie.
Well, because this is, as I don't know how many of you know, this is a film that Kyle Smith of the New York Post calls profoundly disturbing, blood-chilling, fantastically creepy. This movie is none of those. Basically,
I think you're talking about Nicolas Cage's performance.
Yeah, all of those things are accurate if you're talking about the makeup effects in this movie.
What you do with quotes, you take them out of context.
So here's the synopsis from the back of the DVD cover of this masterpiece. Policeman Edward Malice doesn't know just how terrifying different Oh
my gosh.
I can
Can you find someone else to do this?
We'll do an edit.
Policeman Edward Malice doesn't know just how terrifyingly different the people of Summers Isle are, but he will. He's come to the private island to find a missing child, and each step of his search draws him deeper into a web of pagan ritual and deadly deceit, and closer to the Wicker Man. Nicolas Cage plays Malice. Ellen Burstyn portrays the eerie matriarch, Sister Summers Isle, and Neil LaBute writes and directs the shattering tale of an unspeakable horror. Oh, God. Weary, wary, and increasingly on edge, Malice faces a defiant, unfamiliar world where his badge and gun mean nothing, and his presence on the Isle means everything. It is the day of death and rebirth on Summers Isle, and no one can escape.
Way to let the cat out of the bag.
I know.
Even as these DVD summaries go, that one is really involved.
I think they got the intern to write that one.
Holy cow.
Tommy, can you write a synopsis of this movie? But I've only seen the first half. It's okay.
Yeah, that is really heavy. You know what? There is
the day of death. It sounds like the shit.
And I'm going to make this point right now before we get into the movie. There is a very accurate line in that summary. His gun means nothing. Nicolas Cage is a police officer who has a gun. We find out an hour into the movie, he's had a gun all movie.
Yeah, why?
Movie.
Break that sucker out at any time.
He doesn't need his gun. He's got his fists.
Yeah, he doesn't need. Yeah, the gun is useless.
Anyway. I think that the tagline of this film says it all. At least in terms of from our perspective of having to watch this film, the tagline is "Some sacrifices must be made."
Yes, the 2 hours.
You sacrifice your time and your attention to this pile of garbage.
That's gonna be hard to do because it's just you don't want to blow the ending. You want to make it to the ending.
We're gonna try.
I want as we go along. I want to dissect how ridiculous this is.
I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna power through.
Oh my God!
We're gonna power through the movie, and then we're gonna go back.
You grit your teeth as you're doing it, though.
Yeah, because we'll keep it. Well, there's gonna be tons of spoilers, but we'll keep it chronological to a degree. Movie starts off. Nicolas Cage once again playing a police officer. It seems like half the movie.
I think they reused that costume in Ghost Rider. His leather jacket and motorcycle.
Yeah, it looks like outtakes from Ghost Rider. I thought.
What was the deal? He's wearing this. What was he like? Chips or something? He's like some kind of a highway patrolman.
Stuck double.
Nicolas Cage is a highway patrol officer. He sees a little girl throw a doll out of the window of a car. Nicolas Cage picks up the doll, and pulls the car over to give the family their doll back. And then, by the way, pulls the family over on like a hairpin turn. Yeah. There's trucks whipping by right after, there's this whole involved scene. Lo and behold, as Nicolas Cage is trying to do this nice thing, a gigantic tractor trailer hits the car of the family he was trying to give the doll back to, and the car explodes into flames.
Well, he tries to save the girl.
Tries to save the girl.
That's when the car explodes.
It gets thrown onto the pavement, and then we get the blaring title with the music, bum bum, The Wicker Man. What?
Yeah.
Literally, when I watched the DVD, I was like, what? And it was like, he's a highway cop. There's a montage of him pulling people over. Then the dog gets thrown out the window. He pulls the car over, talks to the nice lady. She apologizes. Sorry, she's bored on the road. She's just being a brat. He says it's okay. Gives her the doll. I think she throws the doll out of the car a second time
to get him to go pick it up.
He goes to pick the car up. He goes to pick the doll up. Then the truck hits the car. He struggles valiantly to try to save the girl. The car explodes. He hits the pavement. The Wicker Man.
What about that doesn't say Wicker Man to you?
Yeah.
I just don't know.
So then we go. Nicolas Cage, now distraught, very upset.
And they don't say how long it is.
He's out of work. He's out of work for his injuries, I guess.
Well,
he's depressed. He's depressed because he lost.
Oh,
the girl.
okay.
Because he wasn't able to save the girl. He was emotionally distraught.
Somehow I didn't get that. Go ahead.
Because he wasn't acting, maybe?
Some
That's what it was.
Some cop who's a friend of his comes and she's trying to console him, and she's bringing him his mail from work.
Right, yeah. Here you got this thing. Right.
I don't know how much mail you're really getting at work, but
really not clear what even era this movie is in.
It's that's not in a minute. It's almost not going to matter what era. It includes a letter that has no postage on it, but does have a return address from Summers Isle. It is a. If we read the whole letter, some kind of commune. If we read the whole letter, it'd be the entire podcast.
Yeah,
letters end.
It was like, come on, get it over with. It may as well have been the life story of the person who wrote it.
She basically sends him a young adult letter, a young adult novel, somehow in a letter.
Did you see the penmanship on that letter too?
Yeah,
it was like
they teach them all the time.
I guess so.
That this woman, his Nicolas Cage's ex-fiance writes him a letter and says, "I need you to come to Summers Isle. My daughter is missing. You're the only one I can trust. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're our only hope."
And then enclosed is a photograph of a girl who I was completely confused because it looks identical to the girl who blew up in the car.
Right.
So at this point, I'm like, oh, it's the girl who died.
Right.
So he's got to go to the island to tell this woman that the little girl is now dead.
Well, I didn't know that, but
But then he goes to the island and he's looking for the girl. So I'm now confused.
Well, because
the girl in the picture is the girl from the car.
I think that's intentional. I think they intentionally wanted. I think that was
right. So he felt more for her.
Yeah, because he's like, I couldn't save.
But you gotta go back.
Okay.
But she looks so identical to her though that you think that it's her.
Yeah.
You do.
So it gets. So they miss the mark.
What makes it confusing because you're not like, wait, why is he not like this girl? It's the one who just died.
Well, I think
you're missing a plot point. Though.
I have to go find the missing girl who died in front of my eyes.
Well, let me say, I'm not trying to. I can't believe I'm defending this movie. I think what they're going for is they're trying to say that they're playing on his guilt. He couldn't save the girl in the car, but maybe he can save the girl.
I got that though, but she should have been a little different.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the fact that she looked exactly
so much alike
was confusing because then to me, I'm like, it's not that it reminds him of this other girl. To me, it was the exact girl.
Yeah.
For like 5 minutes.
It was about half of the film. I thought
you got to go back a little bit because when that chick shows up and she's like, "Oh, here's your mail," he says to her, "Oh, they didn't find any bodies in the car."
Oh yeah, that was.
And she's like, "No, they didn't find any bodies in the car." I'm like, "How do you not find any bodies when he was smashing the window?" The girl in there was looking at him.
And then the car explodes.
How did they not find bodies?
Well,
and why is he asking about the bodies? Is this supposed to be a few months later?
Right,
He's been out of it for long enough to have at least. It's been a couple weeks, and he still doesn't know if they found bodies.
So right there, come on, okay, something's weird.
Right.
Well,
they gotta be like, okay, guys.
It's not like they're in the ocean; it was on the highway.
Right. So
right. Well, this is a setup. So he's guilty. He's like, gets this letter. He tells his friend, who looks like a cop right out of a porno with his mustache, that he's going to go to...
I thought you were talking about the other one, the chick.
No, the other guy, the guy with the mustache.
She did too, I
think. And Porno Cop is really the only realistic character in the whole movie, who all of this gets explained to Porno Cop, and he's like, this sounds ridiculous. ridiculous. What? You got a letter from some weird island with no stamp? He's like, why would you do this? Like, basically, Porno Cop calls out the movie and all its stupidity. We're 10 minutes in, and the character is already calling the movie stupid.
He's self-aware. He's warning the audience.
Yeah, it's like he's like a real guy. Like, it's like he didn't even have a script. He's like, no, I'm just gonna react to what Nicolas Cage is saying to me.
This character's name, Real Guy.
Yeah.
In the credits.
Yeah, it's like documentary footage. So Nicolas, this is one of my favorite moments in the movie. Nicolas Cage realizes he's got to get to Summers Isle. He's going to go out there. He's having trouble getting there. He finds this pilot who's delivering supplies. This is like
insults him and then slips him $100 to take him to the island.
yeah, the pilot's like. This is somewhere in the. We should say in the Pacific Northwest.
It's the best scene in the movie. How did you not like it?
And this pilot is like, there is no way. I'm not taking you there. I could get in big trouble. I could lose my contract with people. There is no way. Nicolas Cage offers him two $50 bills. Guy's like, pop right in. Yeah, $100? Sure, I'll risk my whole career for $100. Pops in the plane. I mean, I thought at least it was going to be like, a real bribe.
Right, because they dropped him off and they knew right away.
Officer badge.
They knew right away that this old guy dropped him off. So
yeah.
So what's
it wasn't
the
worth
mystery?
$100.
He says, I'm going to drop you off by the beach so it looks like you swam on shore. So he drops him like in the water and he runs onto the island in waist deep water. It's like, why did you drop him off? How else is he going to get to the island? They're going to know.
And then immediately admits that it was the pilot who brought him to the island.
Right, yeah.
The first people they see are like, how did you get here? He's like, oh, I can't say. Then they look right at
see
the
the
plane.
plane
They're like, oh, you
flying
can't.
away.
And it's just it may as well be like a scene out of a comedy. How did you get here? Because he's got to cover for the pilot. How did you get here? I don't know. And then and then dead silence and the plane's like over his shoulder in the background. It may as well have been like that.
How did you get here? What? I can't hear you with the plane taking off.
And it's at this point I got to talk about this. Nicolas Cage is wearing a ton of makeup in this movie.
Yeah, he looked kind of like a corpse.
Notice
Well,
that?
he's seen his
He looked like a corpse in a
He
wake.
wants to look good.
He had like this. I don't know. He had way too much of this
I thought
stuff
he
on
was.
his
I thought he was
face.
wearing a mask. I thought he was wearing a mask that had makeup on
Ooh,
it.
you thought maybe he was going to be like a different character.
Oh, like
Because
Dr.
of
Fibes is
I
gonna
don't
pull it
know.
off and be all scarred and ugly
There
underneath.
is like makeup on
Getting
top
old.
of
He's getting
makeup.
old.
It was.
Well, here's
Well, so
here's-
6.
At this point, when he lands
Oh, best line
on
in
the
the
island,
film.
this is my favorite. One of my favorite lines in any movie ever. And I want Jack to do it because Jack does it very well. When he gets on the island, there's all these islanders who are treating him really badly. Like, they're really mean to him.
Yeah, that was really
They're bitches.
And they're carrying like a bag that's got like blood dripping from it.
It's wiggling.
And he wants to know, Jack, do the line. He asks him this question.
So what's in the bag? A shark or something?
Yes, he thinks there's a shark in the bag.
Yes, Nicolas Cage, there's a shark in the bag. What the?
And they look at him like totally straight faced, like,
Right, right.
I think all those people just got Botox in the movie. 'cause
Then he
none of
goes
them
to
have
look in the
their
bag,
faces.
and it
It jumps.
jumps, and he doesn't look at it anymore.
And it's
like,
not a shark.
And
He's totally satisfied. Oh, okay.
He's a cop. It appears in something
He's just-
living. Something
just-
living.
I'm a policeman looking for
and
a
he's
missing
concerned.
girl.
And he's
What's
looking
in that
for a
bag?
dog- he's looking for a little
He's
girl.
looking for a missing girl who.
There's a
something bad
girl
may happen
size.
to.
There's a girl size thing inside a bloody
Bleeding.
bag
And there's-
kicking.
and there's blood dripping out of it. And he's like, all right, well, I guess I'm up off to the inn. What?
Oh, it could be a shark. It's just a shark.
He never even looked at it. He's so concerned
Suspicious-
about it.
suspicious-
And then just like,
Suspicious-
I'll let it go.
Suspicious women dressed like medieval blacksmiths carrying a bloody bag containing some wiggling creature. He's looking for a missing girl and he says, it's just a shark.
At this point, too, he starts flashing his badge around.
Yes.
And, being really, I'm a cop, I'm going to ask everyone here questions. What jurisdiction does this guy have? He's like a highway cop.
Which they call him out on.
They did, yeah.
They
They
call
do
him
say
out
that,
on
and
it.
I'm like, okay,
He's
so,
not a detective. He's not FBI.
right.
Well, and then
Like,
this is-
but after they call him out on, why does he still think he has any
Well,
like,
this is
right
like
to...
this is like the first scene we get a freak out where Nicolas Cage has
Oh, I
this
love
scene
Nicolas
where he's
Cage
like
freakouts.
where he's like, I'm acting. I'm a cop. I'm a cop. I'm a bad cop. I'm copping it up. I'm a cop.
Yeah.
It's totally.
Yeah, that scene in the end was really
As
bad.
all the other
I'm gonna
characters
ask
in the
everyone
movie.
here questions.
I'm questioning you. You're talking to me. I'm talking to you. And everyone's just staring.
I'm
at
gonna
him
kill this
blankly.
bee.
Drinking their honey mead.
And she had to explain what it was. We don't have beer. We only have honey mead. It's something we make from the honey. It's like, I know what mead is.
Well, then we get to the other whole issue. Every conversations in this movie escalate rapidly and then like come back down. It goes from like,
Right.
I'm in your face, I've got questions, you'll talk to me, to, hey, you guys got any beer?
What's that? My room's
I'll
ready?
take
Why do you
I'll
have?
take a beer.
You don't have any honey. Sorry, I'll get you some sweetener.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then he kills a bee.
And then he
And
kills the
then he
bee.
smashes a bee, to which the bartender looks at him like he just like took a dog's leg off, you know.
Well, honey is their bread and butter, so.
And he checks in.
And he mentions too that he's allergic to bees. That's why you got to point that out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep
That's why
on point.
That's
He
why
kills the
bee.
bees. I'm allergic
Yeah.
to bees. Right.
I'm
That
allergic
would
to bees.
come up huge later
Right.
in the movie.
People don't-
It
on
would
the
have had it
ending.
not. Yeah, it would have had it not.
Well, no, it does come in
Yeah.
at one point.
Yeah.
But people
Seemed to matter.
don't mention they're allergic to something in a movie unless it's going to come up later on.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
That's what,
You
if
know
I ever
it's
write a
gonna
movie,
go.
I'm going to put a line in it. I'm allergic to something and then never go back. to it.
Never go back
I'm
to
allergic to cinnamon.
Never mention it. Yeah. So we then start this endless loop, which I as I'm watching it, just felt like a bad Murder, She Wrote episode. Of Nicolas Cage goes around and talks to the
it
women
was,
who run
wasn't
this
it?
island.
Well, right.
No one
first
helps him.
He meets his fiancee right there. Then
He meets his
he was
fiancée.
upstairs, she's like, "We
Upward.
can't talk here. They're watching me." So they go to a secluded area,
About 10 feet away.
about 10 feet away, where you can see the dock behind him and everything. Like, people walk around. It's
The
like,
plane's
whoa,
coming
this
up
is
again.
secret.
Plain sight of about, I don't know, 50 people.
And
or
he's
more.
here. He's here to investigate this disappearance. And his first question is, "Why did you leave me?"
Yeah.
And they discuss why he left and all this stuff. And it's like, how about? Okay, when's the last time you saw this girl?
Honestly, though, if
what was
your
she
fiancé
wearing?
just left you high and dry, I
You
would
might,
probably-
yes.
Yeah,
But
I'd
once you
probably
once you
ask that
eventually
if
get
it-
around to asking questions about the missing girl,
Yeah, I don't think he ever did it.
they didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't.
No,
As
not
we've
so
established,
much.
he's, not,
his only-
he's just
his only
a
question-
highway patrolman. He's
Yeah,
not really
and then,
trained
yeah,
in
his-
that.
I think his only question
Was-
was, why did you come to me and not the girl's father?
Right.
And at that point, I was like, okay, I wrote this
Which
note.
you want to yell at him. You're the father.
I wrote that note right then.
Dumbass.
Is Cage
You know
the
why I
dad?
pulled you over? I mean,
I
you
mean,
know about that
Eric,
video?
seriously, you get a letter from somebody. You see a picture of a girl. You broke up with her about 8 years ago, and she's got an 8-year-old. Figure it out.
Hold on.
Wouldn't you be
hold
like,
on. Hold on, let me wait.
maybe
Let's take
I'm
a
the
break.
father.
I'm going to check your math here. Oh, that is correct.
Yes, right?
Yeah. Your math is correct.
Come on.
When it comes to the paternity of 8-year-old Rowan Nicolas Cage, you are the father.
So he keeps going around the island. He's talking to all these women. Everyone's weird with him. You know, and at this point, we get basically into the overall theme of this movie. You know, clearly, I don't know what director Neil LaBute was saying to them, but he was, to every department in the movie, other than set design, he was clearly saying, up the weirdness. I need you to weird it up. I mean, everyone, you think you're being weird? You're not weird enough. More quirky. I just vision him like with a bullhorn on screen, like, more quirky, more quirky.
At some point along the way, too, Lily Sobieski wanders onto the set from some other movie or something.
Yeah, right.
She just kind of wanders in, says some lines, and disappears for a while. I just want to mention that.
Right.
That is, by the way, that is a factually accurate
It
statement.
is.
What Lily Sobieski does.
She came from the
Wanders in.
set of
Wait,
Glass
who's that?
House or something and
Yeah.
did a couple scenes and went back
The
to
young girl.
Oh, who's eating the apples?
Yeah.
the one that gets kicked across the room later.
Yeah.
Later on, yeah.
Yeah, it's like what was she doing in the movie?
Yeah.
She literally just had he's right. She's just there out of the blue, and she says, "Take me with you if
And
you
then
leave,"
she's gone.
and then she's gone. It's like, huh?
Yeah, her stuff.
That line came
in-
back though later.
Yeah,
Well,
she
and
talked
it-
about wax. She talked about the bees in the beginning, and then take me with you, and then she's gone.
Yeah,
and then she's
Yeah.
gone. In a movie that makes
But she was acting weird, too.
yeah,
Yeah.
the whole movie makes no sense,
No,
and
right.
she is the craziest part of the movie that is crazy to begin with.
Well, she's like that. She's like that. What would we call that? That outside element that comes into the picture to give it some kind of that extra dynamic. That one character that just kind of mixes it up. What's
But
the
then
word I'm
she
looking
just-
for?
No,
But
you're
then she
giving
just
wait,
disappears.
Jack.
Yeah, you're
Jack,
yeah.
you're giving him way too much credit. This
No,
was the
this is-
studio note. We need a hot chick in this
Right,
movie.
right,
Like that was it.
Give her
That
some
was
lines.
the whole. That was a studio note.
Right.
Get someone young and
Young
hot
and
in this
hot.
movie.
Yeah,
Wait, we
everyone
don't have a
else is
part
old
for
and
her. Oh,
gray.
that's fine. Just have her walk around and say
Just
weird
have her walk
things.
around eating an apple.
Now I
Yeah.
think we're to the part now where he
goes to
sees
school.
her out the window.
No, that was after, that's not even worth
Yeah, he
mentioning.
kind of sees her.
Oh, okay, 'cause I was gonna say,
let's
well,
skip-
I
Can we
wasn't.
skip some parts
Yeah,
because
let's-
I was
let's-
falling asleep.
No,
around
well, that's what I was
now.
saying. You might fill me in because I did fall asleep. That's where I fell
Yeah.
asleep.
Well, we're
I
gonna.
was
we're
out.
just-
That's-
You fell
that was
asleep.
No, I fell
that
right. I was out.
I was trucking through
Well,
this
that's what I
sucker.
say. We're just gonna go. Like,
I fell asleep
He
for the whole
talks
night.
to a bunch of people. They don't help him. He thinks he
Nothing
sees her. He doesn't find her. He eventually ends up going to the local school.
Yes, the schoolhouse.
Which is another scene where
The school mom is weird.
Yeah, where she's, no one's helping Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage continually seems to be surprised that no one on the island is helping them.
Right.
Although at this point, 15 people have refused to help him.
So now he's resorted to screaming at school children.
Again, it's like...
You are all liars.
You are all liars!
Little liars.
Yeah, we turn the acting dial up to 11 again. Where in a strange move, he freaks out in the classroom, erases their chalkboard, and is like, "My name is Officer Mayless," and writes it on the board.
Why is there a crow in that girl's desk?
Yeah, like he's the teacher.
I'm a policeman.
That was pretty weird. There was a crow in the desk.
Yeah, why was there? And there's a live crow in a desk.
Turning up the weirdness.
Yeah, just turn up the
Just
weirdness.
to be
right?
weird. Again, just
What's it-
weird. This
Really
scene
not
isn't
doing
weird
anything.
enough.
This scene needs
What's in the-
something. Ah, yes, a crow in there.
What's in the desk, kids? A shark?
And here too, this is where they start talking about how the the women are the dominant
Well,
gender and
I was
the
gonna
men are
say-
subservient.
As if
They
he
don't
hadn't
even
figured
they
that
don't even
out
speak. So this is because the teacher starts going saying something like, "Oh, just because you're a man doesn't mean she kind of has that vibe."
You
Right.
quixotic bastard.
Yeah, something like "Oh, you men, you're so violent and."
You man, you come in here to erase our chalkboards.
Yeah, which is it's
Pound your fists and release our crows.
It's reverse
At
sexism.
some point, too, you think he would be like, "This is really strange. The guys don't talk,
Right.
and it's
I
weird shit."
believe
going on."
it. You haven't seen a guy yet.
I'm gonna call some. I'm gonna get off this island and get some help and come back
No, there's
because
no.
this is really
I
strange.
think he's trying his cell phone and it just doesn't.
Well, he
work.
ran out of
Well, yeah, but-
50s to get back on the plane.
Yeah.
And actually, I think a little
true.
bit of plot comes in here
You know,
too.
this island wasn't too far from the shore. I'm sure he could have swam it.
When a little
I
bit.
suggest you get started.
When he accosts the school children and calling them all liars and stuff, he finally goes out. The school teacher comes out, and there's actually some plot here when she says something about, "Oh, she's dead" or something. He tells her she tells him that the girl is dead, and that's why they're not talking about her. She doesn't exist anymore.
Not surprisingly, at this point, I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
I really
but
don't.
then-
But
he goes,
at this point, I was so
but he
confused.
goes- but then she goes, he asks, "Oh, how did she die?" And the teacher goes, "Oh, she'll be burned to death." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh, she burned to death."
You didn't accentuate the Nicolas Cage what? Good.
Well, I can't do it like you.
What?
So there's this weird "Oh, she'll be burned to death," so she's still alive, and so he's got to go try to find
And
her.
I think that was the point where I was like,
But then there's a
oh
weird
wait,
thing
it's not
happened
the
here,
girl
too.
from the picture who
And
burned
then
in the car.
The weird thing
he
that
goes. Are you talking about?
he goes down the trail
Yeah, and then
Oh,
and he
yeah.
sees
He
he
sees
sees
the
a
same
girl
woman.
and he's like, "Didn't I just see you at the school?"
and she's like,
And
"No,
she's like,
no, you didn't."
No, it's like so. I'm like, "Oh, this must
And
be,
then nothing-
this must be a plot point."
Yeah,
Okay,
there was
I'm
nothing
thinking,
after that.
Well,
right. I'm thinking
it's-
a supernatural thing or a
I-
twin
and
thing.
again,
or
I-
something.
I can't believe
because
that
they're all the
we're-
old.
But I don't do
twins.
anything.
I can't believe that for a second time I'm going to try and defend this movie.
You can't.
I
'cause
really
you can't. It has nothing to do
Well,
with twins.
Yeah. How can
there's a weird theme in the movie where there's a lot of twins. A lot of the women are twins.
But
You-
I
you
didn't
see-
pick up on
But they
that.
don't.
And,
Well,
and it
I
has
only
nothing
saw
to do with
the old
anything.
woman. The old woman.
There's a
twins.
couple other in the
But-
classroom. There's a couple. And
Yeah.
again,
the
I'm not
classroom was like the village of the
they
damned.
never-
They're all just
they never
staring
do anything.
forward.
Yeah, they never
they never
give that
do
a
anything with it.
purpose.
Yeah, there's
Right.
no purpose.
There's no
to it.
reason for
like-
it.
It's the theme
Yeah.
of
And
society.
to point it out like that, didn't I just leave you at the schoolhouse? No, that was it.
All right,
Well,
I was
that
waiting.
ends that.
The,
It was
the
like-
whole movie, I'm like, okay, this is something, and I wait till the end to be like,
Right.
what's going on with this? And it's like, what? Nothing.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about it until we
I thought there was going to be a
Right.
prestige-like twist.
Yeah,
in it.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's. Yeah,
So then
nothing.
we basically then get a series of I don't know what the over under of shots of Nicolas Cage bicycling through the woods is in this movie. I would put
Goofy.
it.
It's a huge montage, and let's just talk about that scene. Can we please? I want to touch on this. I don't know where in the movie it is, but it has no relevance to the plot overall. So I just want to get it out of the way now. He's riding his bike down a path. He sees a group of guys stacking logs into a cart. Pulls over. Hey, let me help you. He randomly out of the blue, midway through, experiencing all of these weird people getting met with resistance at every single turn as he's trying to figure out the mystery of a missing girl. He's got to deal with his ex-fiancée, the possibility that the kid might be his, the possibility that the girl might be killed. He's riding the bicycle and he decides, I'm going to help these random strangers stack logs in a cart.
Yeah.
He begins to help them, then somehow screws it up. All the logs end up falling on the ground, knocking several of these innocent guys over, and then he's like,
He just leaves.
okay, and he just rides his bike away.
Good
Yeah,
luck with
he
that.
totally destroyed their logging operation.
It has nothing to do with the movie.
Have you heard? I'm a police officer.
The only reason was to establish that the guys don't talk. That's like the only reason
Right,
to show that
that was
they're
that scene, yeah.
Yeah.
subservient and they don't talk.
We
That's
also
the-
get a scene where Nicolas Cage goes out in the dock because he's trying to get in touch
Oh,
with the
right,
pilot. This scene was infuriating. This was the
wasn't
this is
it?
Where, this is where I threw the notebook.
Oh, I forgot about the scene on the boat though.
Well, no, well,
where
we
the
gotta-
truck hits the girl on the boat when he's on the way over. I forgot to
dream.
talk about
Yeah,
that.
okay.
What the hell was that?
I
don't
know.
know.
Yes, there's a truck on a boat killing a girl.
That wasn't literal. That was just guilt.
I know, but still, I was like, you kidding me?
Well,
And
I
now
don't
you
have-
No,
But
I
wait,
thought
but
that
let's-
was cool.
now
I
you get
like
treated
it.
to this.
let's
Really?
So,
Yeah.
so he's sitting on the dock, waiting to try and find the pilot who he bribed to bring him over.
Yeah.
And then we get nothing makes me madder in a movie more than when someone wakes up or something crazy happens, then the person wakes up and go, "Oh, it was a dream."
Oh no!
No, they
no,
do
was
that. They do that twice. He wakes up from a dream in a dream.
That happened to me. That happened to me last night, though. So
right,
that's believable.
It is.
That happened to me last night.
I've
I woke up
actually
from a
done
dream
that
and I
before
was still in a
too.
dream.
This was like
Where,
Inception.
you mean Incepted?
I
I
know.
guess it was. I guess so.
I've done that before too.
My dead
I'll
dog
say
was
that.
there. It was weird.
Oh,
But you weren't cradling a dripping wet corpse of a
this
little
is-
girl.
Yeah, this is because he feels so much guilt that he, in the dream, he sees the girl under the water. He dives under the water. I can't remember what happens, but he ends up waking up on the dock. There's like that close up,
Right.
And then it zooms out and he's holding the dead girl in his
Right.
arms, and then he wakes up again.
wakes up
There's a little top spinning.
And then he starts freaking out
if
like,
they,
oh, I'm losing
if
my
they had
mind.
done one more, I'm waking up from a
I
dream,
expected
in a
it,
dream,
yeah.
in a dream, waking up from it. I was going to be like, okay, wait,
Yeah.
Then he wakes up on the highway.
yeah.
And that's the end of the movie.
I was
there
waiting
you
for
go.
that too.
Because he does pass out. Like I
I
said
was waiting for
before,
the wake
when
up
the
on the
when
highway.
the title appears, he falls on the highway and it says the Wicker Man. So the moment his eyes close and he's knocked out, the movie begins. It would have been great.
Conscious a lot.
That's-
for
I
us
thought for
as
sure they're
officer.
going that route.
Yeah.
I
So
thought they were
it-
going
So he
that route.
gets.
Somewhere along the way here, he finds out that the girl is his daughter.
Well, I was going to say it's coming up, and it's, like
It's the
I think it's
infamous
right,
"How to
yeah.
Get Burned" scene.
That's
No, that's later.
I think that's the first.
I thought that was the
No,
"How
no,
to
no,
Get
that's
Burned."
Is that the first
No,
plot
he finds
twist?
out-
Well, if
That's
it's,
the first
if it's
twist,
even
right?
It's
Well,
twist,
I
yeah.
guess if you call it a twist.
Well, yeah.
It's even, and he gets.
More like a gentle little.
They got-
bird.
Is there a twist if you figured it out half an
There's a
hour
little
ago?
sarcasm in that, I think.
and finally, we get introduced to. We've met all these weird women. We finally get introduced to Ellen Burstyn.
Well, okay.
Sister
how we got here though is great because he's walking around the island. I think it's after he goes to the schoolhouse, or no, after the dock. I think he's sort of just wandering around the island. I think on his bike, and all of a sudden he realizes he's in a field of bees, like just in the middle of a
Oh, yeah,
field
yeah, yeah.
of just
Oh, yeah, I
bees.
forgot about that.
Like
Yeah.
this guy who's allergic to bees somehow just wandered into this field of just bees everywhere, and he gets attacked. So he obviously falls unconscious.
He
'cause
runs
he's
into
allergic to
the beehive like an idiot.
bees. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's think
Who does that?
somehow he wandered
You
into
can't freaking ride a bike.
this field of beehives, and then he's running away, and he's like running into them, and it's crazy. So he gets stung by all these bees, and he's falls unconscious. And he
falls
wakes up.
unconscious. The doctor on the island is the mom from 6 Feet Under.
And the maid in American Horror Story.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
The hot maid?
She's no.
Well,
Oh,
the older
no,
version
right, the
of the
older
hot
version.
maid.
Did you watch the movie?
Yeah. Yeah.
With the glass
yeah.
eye.
Who are you?
I was
Yeah,
joking.
Yeah. She saves him, and we finally meet Sister Summerisle, who is the queen bee of the island. It's pretty, yeah. And yeah, do you get it? Because the island's
figured
a
it
bee.
out?
There's a worker. The men are the drone. Yeah, this
Oh, I
is-
got it.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah, they
you
really
got it.
hammer this point home.
It's like a Shyamalan shovel, just piling it on.
Ellen Burstyn, by the way, how
Has
bad?
never looked bad. Oh, sorry.
Wow, how bad? Oh, yeah. I mean, this is her.
Well, she had that Braveheart paint going at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Does it
She-
work?
well, we're getting it. Well, we have to.
That's
Get, oh,
pretty
don't worry.
funny,
We're
you
going
know?
to get to that.
That's
We're going to
pretty
get to
funny.
that. She gives like a Keanu Reeves-esque performance in this. I mean, there is every line. It's if the
Was
director's
she the old
telling.
lady in The Matrix?
No,
I was just gonna say because that character reminded me of.
no. I mean, she reads. It's like no. I mean, she's actually reading it. I mean, everyone else is told to be as weird
like
and
Sigourney
quirky
Weaver
as
in
they can
Abduction.
be.
Exactly.
Yeah, she is as bland.
Yeah, it's
and
just plain and simple.
plain.
Yep. Okay.
You,
Yeah.
you forget everything she says as soon as she says
And she's
it.
supposed to be one of these important characters.
If she's supposed to be threatening, they have problems. Because I mean, this is where the movie, for me, it's already off the rails. But like her character, now the train's completely off the tracks because her character is not threatening at all. I mean, there is nothing.
This is old lady.
At this-
Isn't-
I
isn't
mean, I
Nicolas
feel
Cage-
like more
is-
she's in more danger of like having dementia and wandering off and getting lost than hurting anyone.
Then, now, did anybody else notice that Nicolas Cage keeps like slapping himself as if he's
that's what I
getting
was gonna
stung
say.
by
That's
bees?
what I was gonna say. Is
Yeah.
they're walking around this yard and there's tons of bees flying around.
Yeah,
Now,
why-
but now he's not like
Now he's
freaking
not worried
out.
about it, right.
But when they land on his skin, he
almost
just kind
died.
of okay and
yeah, he
slaps
just sort
him.
of like, oh, get away.
Fresh off a near-death experience with bees, they go
And
for
now
an
he's just-
afternoon stroll with more bees.
To the
With
bee
more
field.
bees.
In a bee garden. It's
Oh,
like,
more bees!
Oh, which we're gonna. Let's jump ahead a little bit.
Yes.
Nicolas Cage continues his investigation, which has gone nowhere and is going nowhere, and probably is headed towards nowhere. And
He has permission to dig up.
This is why,
Yes.
when he's talking to Sister Summer's Isle, he asks for permission to dig up the grave of
Somebody.
Rowan.
because
Right.
she
The little
confirms
girl-
that Rowan is dead.
Right. So he asks to dig up the grave, and she agrees.
yeah. So he did.
So he goes to it.
Should we get to the
he
great
does
part?
It. He does it in the middle of the night.
Right,
He
because
goes in the middle of the night.
You can only
He's got to
dig
do it
up-
in secret, even though he has permission to do
He
it.
digs up graves in
Wait.
the day. That's the
Well, I was
big
gonna say
thing.
this is like a movie.
Once you start
can't-
yelling about
can't
the
dig a
duck-
grave.
Well, I
Oh,
think
it's
that's
the next
coming
morning.
up.
That's next
coming
one.
up.
Okay,
That's coming
right,
up.
right.
You
Next
can't-
morning.
you can't-
There's stuff in between.
Because he digs up the grave,
Then he walks.
finds a doll.
Yeah, it's burned.
Then all of a sudden he hears in the distance something like
He walks into an
a
obvious
child.
trap.
A child is calling.
Yeah.
So he walks into an obvious trap.
I'm yelling, "It's a trap!" Like Akbar. It's a
Yeah.
trap.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, we discussed this.
Well, he's just a highway cop. But
He finds the sweater underneath a grate,
Crawls
picks
into
up the grate, jumps down in the water.
By the way, wearing a full suit.
Right.
Where
We
he took
should
his
mention
jacket
that.
off. He took his jacket
I
off.
don't- I think
He's
he's
got
got
a
his
tie
shoes
on.
He
on.
have 10 different suits in this movie because he's like always in
Hey.
the water in them.
And you know,
and he's dry most of the
road
time.
cops
Yeah.
are big for wearing suits.
Yeah, they are.
By the way, in the
So-
direct, I just gotta say this, I listened to a little on the commentary track. That was a actor's choice by Nicolas Cage
To wear,
to wear a suit, to wear a suit throughout the movie. That was a
I'm like,
choice by Nicolas Cage.
Do we get any explanation as to why?
He jumps in the well because
tell you.
he's like, oh, I heard the child down here, so he gets in the well.
So he figures he's going to save some trapped child.
Right, and then all of a sudden somebody comes along and traps him in the well.
Yeah. He's in this well for like clearly.
Yeah, he's just
overnight.
like
It's like daytime by the
yeah.
time he's out. Yeah, there's
Well,
like sun.
I guess what I want to say I can't say yet because
Well,
I can't say it yet.
all right, we'll get
Oh,
to
he
that
gets
later.
trapped in the well.
So he gets trapped in
Now,
the well.
now we're treated to all his demented flashbacks, not flashbacks, dreams. He's dreaming about this and that, and they kind of hit on some plot points for you there. There's a couple things that happen there. You
He
kind of
wakes up
figure
again.
some things out. You
But
start-
Do you really?
Yeah,
I
they're-
don't-
well-
maybe I just didn't. Who cared at
Yeah,
this point?
yeah.
Because
I
you
mean,
do, it's like they show
We just wanna know
they
how
show
it's called Wicker
his
Man at
partner
this point.
coming, the chick coming, and when she talked to him in the beginning, and she's got a bee on her, and you're like,
I just figured that was.
oh,
I don't.
okay,
It was,
all right.
if-
Oh,
is
yeah,
that
they're doing all
weird?
this weird stuff.
Okay,
and-
yeah.
But anyway, I mean, well, but to jump in, I mean, they let
It's
him
supposed to be
out.
artistic.
His ex fiancee comes and lets him out of
The
this
next morning,
pool
right.
he was locked in. He still has his tie on, by the way. He
Right,
spent the
right.
night
He's-
underwater,
And he's
with
pretty
a tie
dry
on.
when they have their little
Hey, it's an
conversation.
actor's choice.
When he just busts out of this pool. He's been in water for
Yeah.
clearly at least 10 hours. Just busts out and goes back to running
Let me
around
show
the
you
island.
something.
It's like a video game. Like where you just
His
okay.
health bar is still.
Yeah,
Well,
And then he screams. He
This is,
screams.
yeah,
out-
this is one of my favorite scenes where he goes, because he gets out, he's like, I gotta show you something. He goes back out to the cemetery, picks up the doll. And
How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned? How'd it get burned?
It's yeah. At this point,
Yeah,
they
he
go
doesn't really
back
know
to
when to be
the.
urgent and when to be just.
Yeah, because he goes from
Yeah.
like, oh, thanks
really
for saving
not
me.
that big of a deal.
He
It's
goes
just-
from He goes
It's
from
a
thanks for
doll.
saving me, until to just yelling at this woman like, how'd I get? Like she knows how it got burned.
Yeah, and then he turns
And
up.
finally,
the,
she's like, I don't know. Like,
he turns
Jeez,
up
it's a
the.
doll. What's
Just
the big
ask her
deal?
more. Ask her once. Is this Rowan's doll? Yes. Then why is it burned?
Yeah.
but it wasn't. It
No.
wasn't. It wasn't
The
Roman's doll.
problem
It
is
was
he
a
has
doll
no
from the
good
beginning
cop,
of the
bad
movie.
cop.
He is
He's
no.
just
Yeah.
bad cop.
It's also
Which
just,
added to the confusion because I still thought that it was the same girl.
and it doesn't let him be acting. I'm acting
Right.
now. I am acting my heart out. I am.
He's not going to win a
acting.
Razzie if he doesn't escalate.
And
the
this
scene.
this point, when he starts yelling "How to Get Burned," is the point where he just loses his mind, and the rest of the movie is just him just yelling and kicking down
right.
doors.
From
and-
that point on, from the how did it get burned, screaming, from that moment on, the film just
It is
shines.
It is
I
insanity.
love it.
From
I
that
actually
point
love
on.
the last part of the movie.
this whole
Well,
last
he
the
just-
whole last
yeah.
act.
So
I
are-
love.
This is how they actually progress the plot. This is how they because technically nothing is really actually different at this point. But all of a sudden, Nicolas Cage just goes, something bad is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get home. You go home. I feel something bad's going to happen.
Oh,
It already has. I
I
put
feel
the
it tingling
DVD in.
in my knee.
Yeah,
My
but-
spider sense is tingling.
Yeah.
You have
Where?
hypothermia.
Why?
Maybe you should take
Yeah, I
it.
was wondering that too. I guess when you're trapped in a pool of water for 10 hours, you start to have.
Yeah, you just start to get
Doubts about
premonitions.
what's gonna
Is
happen.
he- I don't know.
Dehydrated or
So now, if the movie has been quirky enough, they take the quirky
Oh, yeah.
meter just pegs from this point on in the movie. He goes back to Sister Summerisle's house. There's like just an assortment of like
Weird
circus sideshow acts going on at her
Oh, right. At
house.
one point, he walks by a room that
like a house of
some
horrors.
lady's covered with
Oh
beard.
yeah,
like a beard
honey. Yeah, she's got like
Yeah.
honey all over her face.
Yeah, she's like
bee
looking and
beard.
smiling. It's like, yeah, well, all kinds of weird.
Yeah, because I mean, they make honey. The island.
And Ellen
business
Bernstein
is
is
making
honey.
honey.
lying in the bed.
Yeah, she's like hiding
stretched
from-
out in the bed upstairs with
Yeah,
her
what was
servants
with
around
that
her.
guy?
And
Oh
she's
my
like,
god, he had like
Yeah, guy with-
plankton on his chest.
A guy with one eye.
Is he? If he's their sex slave, my god. Like,
And then there's
no wonder
like,
all those weird people are on the island.
it starts this crazy search, and we should
Well, he
mention
goes-
too. At this point, we're also seeing because the business of the women on this island is they make honey. So there's these beekeeper characters who
Double
look
entendre.
vaguely like stormtroopers, like in the most menacing beekeeping outfits I think anyone's ever seen. And Nicolas Cage is on this crazy search, just running around the island. He finds the pilot has been murdered.
Yeah.
Why
Right.
was the pilot murdered?
Because he freaking
brought-
drove
right, he
the
brought-
he brought him
they
there.
ratted him out.
well, again, we can go back. We can.
All right, we'll go
we had
back
to talk
on
about
that.
that at the end. Like, why it doesn't make sense?
Right, it doesn't make any sense.
But
Yeah.
and at this point too, he steals the bike from the school marm
Yes.
at gunpoint.
At
'Cause she was giving
gunpoint,
him a
that's
bike.
great.
Yeah.
Step away from the bike.
Step away from the bike.
There's a great scene too.
How do
where-
you read that dialogue
This
and
is
not
a
sound
strip
like
up.
an ass?
I didn't write it down. There's a great line when he's searching a room
Oh, is it this one?
and he says something to him. You haven't.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. That's my hero. That's my
Yeah.
second favorite line in this movie.
It's coming up. It's
Yeah.
coming up.
All right. So then I'm losing. I was checked out of this movie, by the way,
Oh,
at this point.
checked
What?
out.
So what
I actually
happens?
went
checked
more
out when I fell
invested
Okay, so
than
he steals
ever in the movie
he steals
at
a bike
this
from
point.
the school teacher.
Okay.
Then he just goes.
But
around
not the
like-
school teacher's
he
twin.
He drives back into town on the bike, and he just starts kicking down doors and going into all these rooms trying to find this girl. He's taking masks off of all these children because they're wearing the masks because the
The
ceremony's
It's
coming
the
up.
day of death and rebirth.
So then he goes in this. Well, he goes into one house and he. Oh, okay, yes. He goes in this house and the woman's like really like, do you have permission to be in my house? She's like, you what are you doing here? Do you have permission to be in my house? And he starts yelling. He's like, I don't need a permission. I'm looking for this girl. And he goes, you have my permission to stay out of the effing way. And he just like yells at her.
The way he delivered it is
Yeah.
great. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, you gotta look this up on
You have
YouTube
my
if you
permission to
haven't seen
stay out there effing way.
it. Yeah, he just screamed at someone. He busted in this woman's house, kicked her door down.
Nicolas Cage
And
voice.
then he just starts yelling at her. Then he goes like into her bedroom and like opens the closet and like a
By
girl,
the way,
a girl
legitimately
falls out.
creepy moment when that girl falls
yeah, she like
out and
she like
starts
falls
laughing.
out and he's
I was
like, oh,
"Whoa."
and then she starts laughing and they all start
And
laughing.
they all start
at him.
laughing
That
at
was
him.
really creepy.
Yeah.
No, seriously, at some
But
point,
why was she in that closet?
That's my-
he's got to know
set up
something
that gag.
screwed up
Yeah, I
going
think
on.
they're just effing with him.
Well,
At
yeah,
this point.
I got to get somebody to help me here.
Well, you think so. Well, now, and this is where the movie's about to get famous because, and before we get into this next point, I want to just so Gloria Allred doesn't shut this podcast down before we get anywhere. We want a disclaimer: there is violence towards women. Is not funny. The concept.
No, I laughed.
Well, wait, hold on. The overall concept of violence towards women not funny.
In this,
But-
when Nicolas Cage is
But-
involved,
Oh
If
my
anyone
god.
can make
movie,
it funny.
in this movie, we
Greatest
now are
scene
treated to a scene where Nicolas
ever.
Cage just starts punching
Well,
women
my
in the
favorite-
face.
my favorite,
He walks
my,
into
my
this
favorite
room-
thing about the first one is this craziness. He's busting down doors, running all over the place. Then he just walks in this room slowly. There's
Like clock ticking, sound effect,
There's
creaking
this,
floorboard.
the old bartender there, the woman.
Yeah.
She looks at him. She's just like, "Oh, you look worse for the wear." And he just walks slowly up to her, looks at her in the face,
Roundhouse.
right in the face,
and knocks her
and
out.
yeah,
One
there's
punch.
that shot of her just going to the floor. Her head hits the ground, and it cuts to the next.
I
the next
wish I
scene.
didn't know he's going to punch late. I knew he's going to punch women. I wish I didn't know because I would have laughed even harder.
still-
Because I laughed. I would have laughed harder.
The way this scene is
Just
staged,
walks up.
it's funnier than the horse getting knocked out in Blazing
Oh, it
Saddles.
is.
I mean, the framing of it is so crazy.
And then Lily Sobieski
Yeah, then all of a
wanders
sudden-
back onto the set. She's attacking him
Attacking for some reason.
For no reason, Lily Sobieski again. Studio note: hey, when's that hot chick coming back in the movie? You
now.
know? Yeah, we'll have her
Jump on his
on
back.
Nicolas Cage's back.
And,
Yeah.
They were to kick her across the room.
He kicks her in the
What an
chest.
idea!
He goes flying back into the wall.
That's quite the kick.
He basically,
Like a Jackie Chan kick.
well, he almost like punts her, like, he almost, like drops her onto
like
his
Jack
foot
Black.
and
It's a
kicks
drop
her.
kick.
She flies across the room and like slams to a wall. All these glass
Glasses
frames are falling down.
shattering.
And this is the point, and I have a note on this. Jack brought this up. Ellen Burstyn is putting together this pagan ritual with the other women on the island. There are so many flaws in this movie, but the makeup department deserves her makeup really looks like someone said, like there was a note that said, okay, imagine a circus clown wanted to put on war paint from Braveheart. That's what I want it to look like. It looks ridiculous.
It is so distracting.
And she's wearing it for the whole
And
final
she's taunting
third
him
of the movie.
sinisterly throughout the entire sequence, and you're not, again, because she's so dry, as we mentioned earlier,
but
and
I
that
didn't
paint
even-
makes it worse.
What's great?
I didn't even notice her makeup because I was paying too much attention to Nicolas Cage in a bear suit.
Well, I was just saying, what's great is that the barmaid, her thing in the ceremony was she was supposed to wear a bear suit.
Yeah.
So he
he
punches her out and steals her bear
takes
suit.
the bear suit.
By the way, they won a Razzie. One of the Razzies this film wore was for worst couple. The couple was Nicolas Cage and a bear suit. That was a Razzie it received.
And he starts walking and running. Are we to that point where he just runs up to the lady?
So the ceremony starts.
Yeah.
They're all marching. They're all marching up to the whatever they're doing up there, and he sees the little girl up there.
Rowan's
he finally
tied
sees the
to a
little girl.
pole.
She's
Yeah.
tied to this pole. They're gonna burn her. So he starts.
He says
he
to
just
the-
runs up. Yeah, he says
to
the mother's there.
To the mother, I'll be back. Or
Yeah,
says something.
he says like sit here. I'll be
Wait
back.
here, I'll be-
And he's in the most comical scene.
Runs across
he's
the
running
field.
across the field in a bear suit.
Yeah.
It doesn't even stop. The girl goes, "What's wrong, sister?" Whatever. Doesn't even
Knocks her out.
Nicolas Cage is now knocked
goes
out
down.
in a time span of less than 5 minutes. He's knocked out 3 women with 3 punches. He is 3 for 3
Then he
Batting
grabs.
1,000,
Now he
yeah.
grabs Rowan and starts running with her
in a bear suit.
in a bear suit.
Don't worry, honey, I'm not going to hurt you.
He puts her down, gets out of the bear suit.
Don't worry, I'm not going to punch you.
Then somehow an 8-year-old outruns
Outruns him.
a 30-something-year-old.
And she's-
Have you ever raced an 8-year-old? I can beat an
slow, yeah.
8-year-old hands down.
She destroys him.
Rowan, wait, Rowan.
Ready and pull
Hold
his gun
on,
back.
Rowan.
Come back here, the
Come
bear
back
suits
here.
are on my ankles, I can't
He was
keep up.
He was out of the bear suit already.
Oh yeah, she's like Jackie Joyner. I mean, she's gone. She's
trained
like
for this.
She's a solid 50 yards ahead of him.
And then she finally runs up to Mara and says, "Did I do good, mommy?" And it's like, you find out that he is the sacrifice, which
Twist
I've
ending.
been wanting to scream at the TV for about 45 minutes now.
Yeah, I think everyone's
Get it? Don't you get it? You're the sacrifice, idiot.
He is the sacrifice. It's established throughout the movie. The colony of women, their honey production has been weighed down. They now are going to sacrifice
They have to
Nicolas
have a
Cage as
special
part of
sacrifice.
Special
Yes.
sacrifice as part of a pagan ritual. They needed to sacrifice someone who had a connection to the island.
Was one of them.
Blood
Who was one of
connection.
them, and because Nicolas Cage was the father of Rowan, he had a connection to the island. They're gonna sacrifice him.
Now here's a question: why didn't they just lie to him and tell him, "Hey, you just won
Right,
the
that was-
Summers
that was
Isle
my-
lottery.
that was my
Come to
question.
the island and
Or-
get a bunch of money, and then
That
the
was my
moment he
question.
shows up, knock him out."
Well, hold. Before we get into that, we also have to do one of the big reveal, and then this will change. Then we'll get into all that. As Nicolas Cage is about to be burned alive. Well, I mean, basically
In a
the end of the
gigantic
movie-
Wicker Man, therefore
in
justifying
a
the title.
gigantic Wicker Man. Some of the other women take off their masks, and in a very quick shot, we see these masks.
So quick, I
come
missed
off.
it.
I missed it too.
That the woman from the car crash in the beginning of the movie and his friend on the police force
the chick,
are women on
And-
this
and
island.
the little girl.
and the little
And
girl.
the little
Car.
girl from the crash in the beginning of the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, because they do
yeah.
it, and
I didn't even notice
and
that.
I
also,
didn't either.
and,
Yeah.
and Nicolas Cage kind of looks at him, but
Refit.
doesn't
I
have.
saw that. I thought maybe
He doesn't have
that
much of a
was
reaction.
them,
I would have
but
been like,
really-
"Oh my god, are you kidding?" I mean, there's no reaction. He's kind of like,
Oh,
Yeah.
he doesn't.
So,
So you don't even pick up on it.
He just
So-
points his gun at random people and screams stuff like,
Right.
"Back up!
so
Back
think,
up!"
no. So let's think about that.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
No. Yeah.
Right.
Your mind is about to.
This just blew my
The movie
mind.
doesn't
Yeah.
make any
your
sense
your
now.
brain. If you're
So,
if you're
There
a
was an
rational,
explosion. She was in the car, and then
Yeah.
ba-bam!
Well, it's even more than that. The whole plan is so elaborate.
The plan. Well, think about
That you'd have to-
So years earlier, they staged. No, actually, let's go back even further than that.
So-
probably more than a decade earlier, they put someone into the Los Angeles Police Department so that they would have a police officer in the inside, so that when they staged a massive explosive crash, that this police officer could give Nicolas Cage a letter to get him to come.
Well,
I mean,
how do you
this
stage a
plan
crash?
is-
This
Yeah,
means you got a
that's
truck
the thing.
driver.
You have to assume he's gonna he's gonna almost get married and have a kid with one of your women too.
Right. Well, even after that, you got to stage an accident. Like you have to have him. We know where he's going to be patrolling, Have the daughter throw the doll out. He'll pick it up and stop us. Then throw the doll back out.
And they also have to put they also have to put one of the. They also have to put someone through tractor trailer school.
So they have to get out of the car. So then the tractor trailer hits it.
But they didn't get. That's the thing.
But they did.
Car, no. The car hit them. There's a shot of the woman sitting in the driver's seat.
I know.
It explodes.
That's how crazy
the
this
kid
is.
is still in the back, so they had to have the truck hit the car, but not hard enough to kill anybody. And then the car explodes as he's looking at the girl in the car.
That's why I said the whole time he's looking at her.
And
It's
why
like,
did they really need to do that?
Well, and think about
Yeah.
Well, no, wait. Now there is a reason. Now,
you're holding us back. You're holding us back.
Two quick
floodgates
things.
gonna open.
Well, two quick things. Well, first, and also think about they had to send that other woman through the police academy and have her get a job with the LAPD. But now wait, there is a reason. There is a reason, and I will say this again. I'm going to defend the movie. I think it goes without saying. I think we all know the organic honey business is incredibly cutthroat,
Competitive.
and competitive.
That's you
And
got to go
this
to
is-
extreme.
this
My whole
This
thing
is what it takes.
This is what it takes. You want to win in the competitive honey business. You put someone in the LAPD decades before you might even need them to help you stage a gigantic crash to inspire a guy to feel guilty to come back to your island.
To look for a
my
girl
whole
that
thing is-
hadn't been born yet at the time you conceived said plan.
That's right.
But my whole thing is, instead of just saying like, oh hey, send a letter saying, oh hey, I never told you this, but we had I was pregnant when I left you, and I have a daughter. Why don't you come out to the island and meet your daughter? Blah blah blah. And then instead of like, they stage this whole thing, have him come out, then everyone on the island treats him like crap. Why not be nice to him? And oh hey, why don't you come to our celebration tonight?
Here's
And
your
like,
daughter. Let's go up to this hill.
And may
at any
I
point he could have gotten fed up and just left.
May I add a pun here, a horrible pun, but also at the same time a famous saying: is it not better to catch a prey with honey as it is with vinegar?
I'm gonna.
It's easier to catch someone with honey.
If you're not,
have you ever heard that before?
If you can't see us audibly, I'm groaning.
This
right
is
now.
a guy. This is a dude. All you gotta do is say, "Hey, listen, I'm sorry. 8 years ago we broke up. I really, really want you right now. Get to Summers Isle." A guy's gonna drop everything, be like, "All right, I'm getting a little lucky. He's gonna run out there, then take him in the middle of the night or something."
Well, yeah. I mean, why?
I'm a Nigerian prince. I will send you if you wire me $500,000. I will send you.
I feel uncomfortable about sending you this
This
message.
whole plan is, as they see in the end, they always go after police officers because they're going to say the child's missing to get them to come to investigate.
But there's even
That's their whole plan.
but why is
in case
way too
in
elaborate.
case
Hire
they-
pilots, sacrifice the pilots.
And this is only in case they need a special
all those women
sacrifice.
some concussions if they had just done it
They
the other
right.
way.
They don't
why-
always need a special sacrifice.
But
just
why?
in case
I guess
they
what I'm
do.
saying is like, why once he got to the island, why not be like, all right, throw him in cuffs. We're gonna burn him tomorrow.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
because she
right.
said he came here on his own free will.
But
Yeah,
he
They
would
needed to like lure him to the
But he
ceremony
would have too if
on
they
his
just said,
own
"Hey,
free
why don't you
will.
come to our special ceremony tonight? We're having the big harvest
Yeah, why am I
hangout.
defending
You're a
this movie?
special.
I don't know, I don't know.
You're our special guest. Why don't you come?"
Seriously, could have just said like, we are gonna
twist your mind.
we are gonna have a rockin' barbecue tomorrow
Right, yeah,
night.
come
Why
out.
don't you come
Come out
up
to the field.
Yeah, hey, why not?
We're gonna burn a
Hey,
big
what's
Wicker
that?
Man.
So Wicker Man. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
don't worry about that giant wicker man. It's not like you're gonna be in it and burned alive or anything.
Why are there all those live chickens in there?
Here comes the line.
How many? Here's
Here
the
comes the
point.
line that makes no sense. What, you're gonna sacrifice me because of your honey harvest? I thought, doesn't he say something about how I saw photographs to prove that you had a good honey harvest? Or something?
Something like that. He says
It
something.
made
like
no
that.
sense. I was like,
Wait,
photographs?
Jack, you're giving
What?
them way
Yeah,
too much
yes,
credit.
no, stop.
So
No,
you're
but
actually,
the
you're
best
actually-
line. The best line is like they cut the whole shocking alternative ending out of the scene.
Well, we haven't
So
we haven't got.
they
We're
had-
still discussing how terrible everything is. I just want to bring up the pilot. Why did they?
Well, why they kill him,
The
right.
pilot
Yeah.
brought him to the island, and ensuring their harvest next year is going to be great,
Right.
and they kill him.
Yeah, do they wait? So do they? Do they kill a pilot every time they do this?
I guess they
At
must.
some point, are pilots going to be like, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, you guys have,
Don't go to Summer.
Yeah, I don't go to. I like
And why-
8 pilots
and we
who've gone there,
discussed
have
this-
never been seen
Why
again.
they
not worth the
why lock him in the
$100.
well? Why lure him down there and lock him in the well?
Okay,
Now you said this is BS because it's if
Oh,
that's
no,
the,
are
if
Are you going
that's
to
the
defend it
point,
for the fourth time, Alex?
again. Well, no, I'm not defending it.
it makes no sense because
There's
they don't,
no
they don't
purpose to
show,
any of it because they could have just invited him to the party.
Yeah, but again, no. Why if you're doing this plan, why lock him in the well
This
overnight?
is what I think, and this is just me.
Did they have to like stall him for some reason?
They did. Well, I'm just trying. My own brain is just trying to process this movie, like trying to make sense of it. I think they wanted to get the bullets out of his gun.
But
I mean,
they
it's
didn't
almost,
show.
again, like,
They
so
show
elaborate.
a scene of him kind of pulling out, but they didn't even show the gun. He kind of goes like the you see what he's doing and puts something
yeah.
down.
Yeah, they never. It's barely even
Yeah,
clear
when
that
did he lose his bullet?
Yeah, but
Why-
it doesn't
I
take
think
all
he
night
was-
to
when
take
he was
bullets
locked
out of a
in
gun.
the tank for the whole
Oh, he
night.
put his gun away. And
It's hard.
So you gotta lock him in there for 10 hours to get
This
6
is-
bullets out of a gun?
In the grand
You gotta make
scheme,
sure he fell asleep.
But you have to remember, in the grand scheme, they sent a woman through the police academy like 20
true,
years
that's a small
earlier.
sacrifice.
Yeah, locking a guy in a tank for 8 hours to get bullets out of a gun is like, very
Guys, that's
streamlined
pretty subtle, yeah.
actually for them.
Now can we go back to my
back,
favorite line?
Back to the ending, yeah.
Okay.
Let's finish the movie up.
Because
Okay.
they had to cut. They cut out the. I'm sure an
the
audience.
shocking ending.
I'm sure an audience saw it and said, "What the? This is ridiculous."
Well, I think they
And
want.
changed
I
it
think they
all.
want PG-13 rating. That's why.
Oh, well,
It was
anyway,
a little violent. For
They took out the shocking ending, so they did it all with a voiceover as they're walking up the hill to take him to Wicker.
Dragging
they
him in
still,
a
so
sack.
they still have all the audio from the shocking
Original,
original,
right.
ending over them walking to the.
And
Wicker
he's
Man.
talking. He's yelling. They're kind of explaining. He's yelling. Says about, "I don't believe in your God. I don't believe in your."
Oh, that was part of the alternate.
Yeah,
ending.
Yeah.
That
you
was
see
the
it,
audio.
you
That was
see it.
they,
You see them actually what they're doing.
What I think they
So-
did is they shot the ending that we'll get to in a second. It was too shocking because they wanted a PG-13 rating, most likely, or just people thought it was stupid. And they said, we'll cut it out.
I think a focus group said, "What?"
So instead, in the procession where they're dragging Nicolas Cage in the bag, and then they take him out of the bag, and he sees the Wicker Man, and he's like, "Oh no!" During that procession, they played the audio of the tortures that he went through before getting dragged to the Wicker Man.
But the best part is
instead of
because
showing,
you're not seeing what's happening, he has to tell you. So he's like, he's screaming. He's like, also he says, "My legs, my legs!" And you're like,
But no,
So you don't know why he's.
but the
screaming
best
for
part
it.
of that is in the original ending though. That's not like they put that in there because you don't see it in the original ending.
You see him
he's-
smash his legs.
and he's yelling, "My legs,
legs, my legs."
Even then, he's yelling it.
And
We
then
get
what
it.
did he
yelling
do?
it? Was he?
I think so.
I thought,
Yes, he was.
I thought
Yes,
he wasn't
he
yelling.
did.
No,
did
he
he?
was.
Okay.
Yes,
I thought
he
it was
did.
It was even more ridiculous when you see
I
him.
thought he
because-
wasn't yelling it.
'cause,
That's-
like, yeah, we know they're smashing your legs. You don't have to yell about
Oh,
your legs.
my legs! It would be as if
just funny.
James
You hear, "My
Caan screamed in
legs!"
misery when Kathy Bates slams him in the
My
leg with a hammer.
ankles!
Oh, my legs! Yeah, we saw
those,
that.
I mean, those women were assholes. Like, not only is he going to be burned alive, but before he gets burned alive, they have to freaking break his legs and put like a mat or like a freaking helmet on him and bees.
Right, and the
in
shocking
it.
That's
alternate
that's
ending, yeah.
yeah, that was
Not
the
the
ultimate.
bees! Not the bees! And then he says, I can't believe he said it. I laughed out loud. He actually says, "Oh, my eyes! My eye!"
I mean, they might as well castrate
Because
him
because
while
they
they're
stung the bee stung him and then they bring him back to life with an pen.
Yeah, it's a point.
Because I guess it had to be like
then
part of the ritual.
They had to
I
break
guess.
his legs, sting him to death, bring him back to life, drag him beaten and bloodied to the Wicker Man, and then put him inside the Wicker
Yeah, they
Man.
freaking put him through the ringer before
Yeah.
he got burned to death.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
So then in the theatrical ending though, he gets burned, he's dead, and then it goes to like 6 months later or whatever, and it's his fiance and Lily Sobieski in a bar with the weirdest like cameos ever. All of a sudden, James Franco and Jason Ritter show up
Yeah.
in the last 3 minutes of this movie. Like I don't know, they must have wanted to be in a Wicker Man movie or something. Cause
Well, you
And
know,
of
okay,
course-
I'm gonna throw this out really quick. I learned some director's commentary. The scene in the diner in the very beginning, one of the guys, he's a blur. You can barely.
No, I
even see him.
forgot about that scene because it was so insignificant to the plot until
right.
you just mentioned it.
Aaron Eckhart
oh really?
is one
Aaron
of the
Eckhart's
guys. Is
in-
one of the guys in the diner.
Wait, why?
Because he and Neil LaBute are friends.
Well, that's what I figured
Yeah.
about these guys. Is I
What?
don't know if they're like
Yeah.
really like the original Wicker Man. They heard there's a remake, and we really want to be in it. Oh, let's throw on a
Let's
know.
totally
was he
slap
the
the original
cop guy?
filmmakers
No,
in the
he's
face.
just one of the people. Like he's a blur. Like you barely see him, but it's Aaron Eckhart.
He's an extra in a diner scene that
he's-
has no significance
actually-
to anything.
Well, and
Yeah.
this ending, as it kind of tells you what they do. Another elaborate plan. They
And
go after police
which
officers.
will not come to fruition until maybe like 2025.
Right.
Right.
It's
Right.
another.
Yeah.
Oh, we gotta get more police
Oh my God,
officers.
yeah, like-
just in case we need.
In case we have a
Go
bad-
hook up with the police
Yeah,
officer.
but
Get
it-
yourself knocked up. Say you want to marry him. Then
Leave,
break
come
up
back.
with him. Go to the island. We'll raise the kid. Don't worry. One of you is gonna. The other one stays in the police force. Ah.
Well, that
Makes my head
Well,
hurt.
and then the credits roll, and it's my last what the F moment is when it comes up and says for Johnny Ramone. Like, okay,
Yeah, like what a
What?
terrible.
That's the
tribute to
weirdest,
Johnny
like, yeah.
Ramone.
And it has nothing to do with Johnny Ramone.
I
think he was
almost
a friend
expected
of
like an
Nicolas
asterisk
Cage.
and a little statement below being like Johnny Ramone's family does not endorse the Wicker Man. You know, I mean, like So we
The family after the movie is like, "Hey guys, you should come see the screen. It's for your late husband." Oh, okay.
Not the
Second
bees.
thought.
Not the bees. No bees were harmed in making this film.
I'm gonna give just a quick. I mean, we did not like this movie very much. Clearly,
I did.
Oh, there's a lot of fresh stuff.
This got a 15% fresh. On
How?
Rotten Tomatoes.
How is that possible?
I'm gonna read clips from just a couple of positive reviews here. Chris Hewitt from the St. Paul Pioneer Press. That is a lot of
reputable
people.
It's
paper.
alliteration.
Yeah, that
It's
is
the max.
He says, quote, "I may be alone in this, and you'll have to give it the benefit of a lot of doubt, but I thought it was interesting." Okay.
Well, interesting, I think, is not necessarily an inaccurate description of the film.
Well,
It's interesting, I suppose. Interesting is probably the best thing I could say about it.
And then from Ron Reed from Christianity Today. I just thought it was interesting that a public
Christianity
called
Today,
Christianity Today said
sacrifice
critics will readily seize on the new film's quirks and deem it a turkey, but the film has many moderate strengths.
Moderate in parentheses.
I don't.
Where are said strengths, sir?
I like how every
Where are
review
said
acknowledges
strengths? I
that
challenge
most
you.
people think this is a
Yeah.
terrible movie.
She's pretty
to
much
start
calling
off
it
with. It's
mediocre.
generally
They
not
all-
a good
Yeah,
recipe for a review.
Yeah. And then the final one I'll read is Jeff Otto from IGN Movies. This is probably the review that Neil Butte would have loved. He says, quote, "A truly odd yet unmistakably engaging remake."
Well said, Jeff.
Yeah. We'll probably jump right to the end. I mean, let's kind of go around our big, what, and Cody and I do. We're going to new feature this week of what was the stop the movie moment for each of us when we were like, okay, like when we just want to pull the ripcord and be like, I got to get out of here. I got ejector seat. I'm done. This is a really good one for me. I think for me it was the dream within a dream within a dream within a dream moment, because I don't want to say it had me up until that point, but I wasn't totally giving up on it, and at that point I said, okay, that's it. That took the last iota of faith I had in this movie. Cody, what about for you?
For me, I'd have to say this movie is so bad it's good for me, so I didn't really have a stop the movie moment. It was kind of, the first couple acts were rough, but then once he started busting doors down and punching women, it was funny enough to me to keep me interested, and I never really had that moment where I was like, oh, I can't go on anymore. So I actually kind of enjoyed watching this one.
Huh?
I'm glad I bought it.
Andy, what about you?
For me, I don't know. I have to say, I'd say one part I fell asleep was when I was so bored with it.
That's a pretty good indicator.
And I was like, I fell right asleep. I'm like, I can't keep my eyes open. That was, when the hell was it? It was before he was school teacher. It was like,
I'm
all this,
guessing
there was
it
all this
I'm guessing
dialogue.
it
It
was in
was
the
like,
stretch of when he's riding around the island on a bike.
because
for
I don't
like
remember much of
50
that.
minutes.
So I think that was it. It was like right on after he talked to her, why'd you break up with me? And there's like, then I fell asleep.
Yeah.
And I just like, I wouldn't have gone back to it if I didn't have to do this.
I would have liked to have recut this movie with the Murder, She Wrote theme music played over it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it would have fit.
Yeah. Jack, what about you?
Well, there was a point where I wanted to get out of the film, and it was when they introduced Ellen Burstyn.
Yeah.
Because she was so dry and so odd and just kind of like, oh, we live on our little Summers Isle, and this is our world, and this is how we live here. And it's like, okay.
I could have done it without her in the movie.
But, as Cody said, because as Andy said, I had to watch it because of the review. But as Cody said, the moment he started flipping out about the burned doll, and he started kicking down doors, and that bear suit, and again, I do not support violence against women, but it was just... the movie was just so... It got to that point where I just had to watch. I had to watch it. I wanted to watch this film after that point. So it would have been that Ellen Burstyn scene. I would have been like, I'm just done. I'm tired of this. It's stupid. This is so confusing. She's not really explaining anything. Why? I would have turned it off. But since I had to watch it, I found myself pleasantly surprised by that acceleration of the overacting.
The insanity that
yes,
follows.
the insanity that
Right.
follows. Yeah.
What about you, Brian?
It still bothers me that you're burning a guy alive. You have this whole elaborate plot and everything, and you freaking treat him like garbage before he's getting burned alive. Like, when someone's getting executed, they don't, like, break his arms and, like, tar and feather them and throw him in the electric chair. You give him a nice steak dinner.
But-
You get the guy his last meal.
But you know, Brett, you're not giving credit. This is a corporate culture. This is business.
Right,
This
right.
is business.
Right.
I'm sorry,
we
but
are
that
in-
is crap.
They don't call it honey friendship. They call it the honey business. Okay.
I mean, I know they don't like men in that community, but treat him with a little respect. I mean, breaking legs, one thing. A bee helmet, I mean, really?
Why do they have a bee helmet?
Yeah,
like
why
that?
do they have a bee? Like, who was like, you know what we need around here? We need a helmet we can pour bees into.
Right, and torture somebody.
Sister Violet, get on that.
Yeah, make that up. For me, I don't know. I don't know if I thought this movie was so bad it's good. But I will say this.
Yeah.
I would pay money to watch people watch this movie. Like, especially the end. Like, if my college, like, theology professor, I would pay $5 to watch someone like that watch the final 10 minutes because it's just insane.
You
Like,
mean the extended ending, right?
Yeah, the looks on people's faces as they watch this movie must be like, what am I seeing? What is happening here?
You know, it could be the new Two Girls, One Cup.
Yeah.
Just get YouTube videos, people reacting to "Not the bees, not the bees."
There's some movies that are bad that I'll watch over and over again because they have some atmosphere or some cinematography I really enjoy. And this one, I'd watch it again. And I think I'll watch it again just because him punching the women is so damn funny. I would probably watch that again because that first one when he lays her out,
Yeah.
you can't help but laugh.
Quick disclaimer: Gloria Allred, please do not shut down this podcast.
The way that's shot is just funnier than hell. I mean, I'd watch. I probably would watch it again.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Because you almost going back and watching it again and trying to pick out more points or.
I would not want to.
What I missed the first
I would
time.
not want to think about.
Because I want to go
the
back and
elaborate-
explore the twin thing again. Because that's got to be some plot point there.
There isn't.
There
I will
has to
say,
be.
have any of you guys seen the original Wicker Man?
I have.
No,
Long time
I always
ago,
wanted
yeah.
to see it, but I never
mean,
did.
It's actually pretty similar to the original. Like, the original was better, but as far as like creepiness goes and everything, it's very similar to the original. So it's not like this was
But the
a
spirit was
completely
maintained,
far
but-
out version of the movie. Like they borrowed a lot. And even, actually, if you look at the IMDb page, they say like 80% of the script
Right.
is the exact same from the original. So we can't completely trash on these filmmakers. They just kind of made an inferior version of the original movie.
They did. They did.
How about that? We can still trash them.
Well, we can say, yeah. This is
I don't know
there
why I
are
said that.
We spent an hour doing it.
there
Regret
are
that comment.
there are more bad choices in this movie than like Lindsay Lohan made in the 2000s. I mean, it's just and it's so rare. I mean, how
terrible.
often do you make fun of a makeup department? I mean, this is the
It's
first
true.
movie I've
It's
never
true.
I've never
Yeah.
at the end of a movie been like, oh, what an awful job by the makeup department. Like, what? Never said that before on anything.
It looked bad. It just looked bad.
It looked bad.
Well, like it was, we're talking too about the shooting of it. I didn't think it was anything spectacular.
Well, the
It could've been
shooting-
shot
this-
better.
the-
The writing was
The camera
great.
department, Queer, was the only department that they weren't being like, more weird.
Right,
like
yeah.
they were somehow,
They were downplaying it.
Yeah,
they
they
really
were.
did
I think it
downplay
was
it.
like everyone else turn up the quirk. Camera department, you guys played straight.
Vanilla,
Like,
vanilla.
Yeah. That's our episode for the week. We'll be back with another episode very soon. If you have a movie you want us to review, or you think you can help us understand any of these cinematic disasters we've seen, we are still looking for a lot of answers on Lady in the Water. I know I am. If you have any answers to any of these movies, please email us at comments at stopthemoviepodcast.com.
Yeah.
Please like our Facebook page. We're going to have updates on Facebook. And you can follow me on Twitter at WindUpFilms. Boy, that's a lot of social media.
know.
Well,
Jeez,
Andy
you got covered, huh?
Andy can check our site for updates at stopthemoviepodcast.com.
Yeah, Stop the Movie Podcast. Yeah. So please, send in those comments, send in those movie suggestions. You can send them to us on Facebook, and that is it. And so for this episode, it is good night, and as always, not the bees.
The bees.
The bees.
Rowan, don't you know me?